Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you trade stocks or invest in Asian markets, you cannot skip today's video. August 3rd dropped a bombshell out of South Korea. Right after their historic stock market meltdown, a top senior financial official from the presidential office faced formal criminal complaints filed by the opposition party. The whole public blames him single-handedly for the crash. But I'm not just here to chase viral gossip. Today we're digging two critical truths. First, is this one official truly responsible for the market collapse? Second, why do politicians worldwide always hunt for a single scapegoat to calm public rage after every financial crisis, while ignoring the broken structural flaws of the entire market? Stick around, you'll understand the universal political playbook behind every capital market on the planet. Let's break down the full story step by step. The official under criminal complaint is Kim Yong-byum, the top financial policy advisor in the presidential office, chief financial aide to President Lee Jae-myung, a U.S. PhD in economics, and a radical pro-market liberalization advocate. Back in January this year, he made a controversial public statement. If Nasdaq allows these financial products, there's no reason South Korea cannot launch them. This remark pushed financial regulators to rush the approval of single-stock leveraged ETFs without thorough risk reviews. On August 3rd, Lee Jong-bae, former Seoul City Councilor from the opposition People Power Party, filed formal criminal charges with South Korea's Supreme Prosecutor's Office. He accuses Kim of abuse of power and coercion to obstruct official financial supervision. The core accusation: Kim pressured regulators to fast-track high-risk leveraged ETFs, which triggered the brutal stock crash. The irony hits harder once the market crashed. Kim refused to activate the Market Stabilization Fund to prop up plunging equities, and even shifted blame to China's market volatility and reckless retail investors. His remarks enraged ordinary retail traders nationwide. By contrast, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Economy held a public apology, admitting flawed policy planning. Their starkly contrasting responses pushed public hatred toward Kim to a boiling point. Talk of a market crash sounds vague. So let's hit you with hard, shocking stats to grasp how devastating this meltdown really is. First, circuit breakers and wiped out market value. In just 7 months, South Korea's stock market triggered full market circuit breakers 9 times. Only 38 days after hitting all-time index highs, 2,800 trillion won of market capitalization vanished, an amount equal to South Korea's entire annual GDP, wiping out a full year of national economic output out of thin air. Second, retail investor carnage from leveraged ETFs. At their peak, these high-risk leveraged ETFs made up over 70% of all stock trading volume nationwide. More than 60% of holders were retail traders aged 20 to 30. Countless ordinary people lost their entire investment principal to margin calls. Retail traders even laid funeral wreaths outside financial buildings to mourn their life savings lost to the market. A heartbreaking sight. Third, foreign capital took perfect profits at the top. South Korea's AI semiconductor rally surged 101% in the first half of the year, while foreign investors dumped nearly $100 billion worth of local stocks at peak prices, cashing out and leaving domestic retail investors holding massive losses. Fourth, fatal structural market weakness. The entire Kospi index hinges on 2 chip giants, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. Combined, their market cap accounts for over half of the benchmark index, creating an extremely undiversified market with near-zero risk resistance. Critical clarification to avoid misinformation. Leveraged ETFs only amplified the sell-off. They are not the root cause of the crash. 3 real catalysts sparked the collapse: mass foreign capital flight, the bursting of the global AI stock bubble, and the total collapse of memory chip price rally fundamentals. Now we dive into the core underlying political logic. Why did the South Korean government single out Kim Yong-byum as the target? It's nothing more than a political performance to soothe public anger. After the brutal crash, millions of retail investors flooded social media with rage over catastrophic losses. The government needed a concrete, easy-to-blame scapegoat to give furious citizens an outlet for their frustration, a public figure to take all the heat. Kim checked every box they needed. First, he was the key architect pushing leveraged ETF policies. Second, He made highly controversial radical financial liberalization remarks. Third, he shifted blame onto ordinary investors post-crash, making him universally hated by the public. One vital distinction to understand: political witch hunts like this never require complete, rigorous evidence chains proving full culpability. Politicians don't care about identifying the true root of systemic market risk. They only need a fall guy to quickly calm mass public outrage. Deep structural market flaws and regulatory loopholes get swept under the rug temporarily. This scapegoat tactic is not unique to South Korea. Two iconic global financial crises followed the exact identical playbook years ago. Case 1, the 2008 U.S. subprime mortgage crisis. Wall Street giants, including Lehman Brothers, AIG, and Citigroup, created the housing bubble, yet received massive federal bailouts, with 0 top executives facing criminal charges. Instead, federal prosecutors targeted only a tiny community bank serving Chinese Americans, the United States National Bank of Commerce. The bank fought a 5-year legal battle to fully clear all false charges. The harsh reality: mega financial firms employ elite, high-priced legal teams that can impact prosecutors' careers. Politicians always target powerless small players with no influence to fight back. Case 2. The 1997 Malaysian-Asian financial crisis. The ringgit crashed and local stock markets halved overnight. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad placed all blame on George Soros and international speculative capital, stoking anti-foreign sentiment to divert public attention. This narrative successfully covered up the country's core domestic flaws: massive external national debt, absent financial regulation, and rampant corporate over-leverage. Mahathir then pushed through strict capital control policies with public support. Two crises a decade apart, two entirely separate economies, identical playbook. Create an external or individual villain to avoid confronting broken domestic systems. Let's wrap up with the core takeaway every investor needs to understand: the fundamental truth hidden behind every market crisis. Criminalizing one single scapegoat in the short term is nothing more than placebo governance, designed only to release public anger, treating symptoms instead of curing the root disease. It cannot fix the market's systemic structural failures at all. This political band-aid leaves permanent long-term market hazards unaddressed: a lack of retail investor financial literacy, far too low entry barriers for high-risk leveraged products, incomplete supporting regulatory rules, and dangerously undiversified market industrial structures. None of these critical flaws will ever get meaningful reform. This creates an endless repeating cycle. Every time an asset bubble bursts, politicians hunt for a new fall guy to pacify furious citizens. Once public frustration fades, all reckless market practices resume. Retail traders pile back into speculative bets, and another market crash plus new round of scapegoating inevitably follows. To cut straight to the core essence, targeting a single scapegoat only creates the false illusion that the crisis has been resolved. The true root of systemic risk in capital markets remains deliberately buried, never truly fixed. Now that you've watched this full breakdown, have you seen governments use this scapegoat tactic in other global stock markets? Do you think leveraged financial products should impose extremely high entry barriers for retail traders? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I read and reply to every single one. If this in-depth analysis gave you new perspective, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Next videos will cover deep macro breakdowns of global stock markets. Catch you guys in the next upload.